prosperity. I urge all of us to collectively and actively commit to translating today's agreements and calls to action into concrete, impactful processes that will ensure their full realization. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, I think our time is 10 to 12, and Her Excellency, I'm not sure if I think we are going to start with Her Excellency and then the DG. I will be guided. Is that correct?
She was here, but her time is 10, so I don't know if she can wait for us to call them. We should call
yes.
her.
She had given us 10 to 12. I will just confirm with Vimla. And Vimla, maybe if you can just confirm that Her Excellency Mama Machel is ready online. Temi, can you please confirm that Her Excellency is ready? Okay, while we are waiting for them, let me introduce, because our next speaker was the Deputy Governor, Elsie Ado-Awazi. And I think while we're waiting for our office to confirm, I will introduce the DG, a renowned expert in financial regulation and economic policy, serving as the second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana. Her work focuses on creating an inclusive financial landscape that supports women entrepreneurs and foster economic resilience. As a representative of the Expert Leaders Group, or the Graça Machel Expert Leaders Group, she champions policies that promote digital financial services and financial literacy amongst women, recognizing the critical role they play in Africa's economic development. DG Awaji is a prominent figure in financial governance, advocating for reforms that prioritize inclusivity and sustainability in the financial sector. Over to you, DG.
Thank you very much, Shifra, and a very good morning to everyone. Her Excellency Mama Graça Machel, I don't know if she's on yet, Dr. Tukia, the convener of the Expert Leaders Group, and all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to all of you, and Akwaba, as we say in Ghana, for those who are visiting from abroad. It is a real privilege to be able to address this convening. Although I'm unable to be there physically with you this morning, it's a tightly packed day, and I'm doing my best to be able to still be part of the convening, even if briefly, from here. So I'm not going to talk about what the Expert Leaders Group does. I think Shifra did that very nicely, and she talked about the GMT as well. And I believe Dr. Tukia is on and may also be rendering her own remarks. But I'm very proud to be a member of the Expert Leaders Group, or the ELG as we call it. And we really thank Mama Graça for setting up this initiative and bringing us all together as a collective of women leaders in financial services regulation across the continent that are challenging each other to make a difference by, making sure that our policy and regulatory work doesn't leave women disadvantaged. And so that's the position from which I'm speaking this morning, although also as the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, I will be speaking about what the Bank of Ghana has done or is doing in this regard. The significance of today's convening, which focuses on how we can use digital transformation of our economies to boost women-led businesses through cross-border trade, is call coming through. The significance of today's convening is critical, and I'm sure that is why we're all here today. We understand why we're here. And I'm going to talk about 3 key reasons why I believe this convening is timely. One, as women, the economies of Ghana. Women entrepreneurs, big, small, everything in between. We drive the economies of Africa. Okay? You don't need data, but data is always important, just to make the point. But we all know from our grandmothers, our mothers, our sisters, every woman has a side gig, even if it's not a full-time business, that makes a difference in her family, in the communities, in her broader family, extended family, in the communities, and in the nations of Africa. And so women need to be taken seriously. And the women population is about half of Africa as well. And so one always needs to think of, are we making policy? Are we making regulation? Are we doing everything? Are we making investments that recognize that women are half the population and women are contributing to the economies of Africa, largely, sometimes even more than the men. But it's not to compare men and women. It is just to recognize the contributions of women. Okay? Data would suggest that approximately 92% of our businesses in Africa are SMEs, and about half of these are owned by women. So the second point I want to make is that in spite of these immense contributions African women make to our economies, we also happen to be the ones that are disadvantaged in many areas, but in particular when it comes to access to finance. So you heard from Patricia when she talked about the World Bank data that suggests that Africa has a gender gap in access to finance, and not just Africa, in fact in all of the world. But in Africa, this number is much higher. And in sub-Saharan Africa, we are the lowest among all the regions of the world, right, when it comes to access to finance for women, okay? In the ECOWAS sub-region, the gender gap in financial inclusion remains quite significant, okay, in particular in rural areas. And this is a result of many things: lack of information, lack of education, lack of access to tools that enable women to gain access to finance. So that's number 2. Number 3 is that there is hope, okay? So we're making a difference. Number 2, we're disadvantaged. And if the access to finance problem could be addressed, you can imagine how much more we could contribute to Africa's progress. But the third point is that there's hope. And so the advent of digitization of our economies, and in particular of financial services, is really changing the dynamics of access to finance for women in Africa. And more international efforts need to be made to ensure that we do this even more. Okay, so data from the CGAP, the World Bank CGAP, would suggest, for example, that mobile money is making a difference in Africa. It's escalating or accelerating the rate of access to finance for women like never before. The same as we find in the World Bank Index report of 2021, where in 11 economies of Africa, mobile money account ownership has surpassed that of traditional bank accounts. Okay, and we saw that Sub-Saharan Africa was leading across the world in terms of access to finance engineered through digital financial services. And we all know why. Mobile money has become a game changer. It started from East Africa, Kenya to be precise, in the early 2000s, and it's caught on like wildfire. And in Ghana, it's made a big difference to how women are able to start a business, how they're able to receive payments, and how they're able to save and even borrow. So there is hope. Not only is digitalization creating hope for more access to finance, but it is also creating hope for more cross-border trade. And just this week, just to give you a practical example, I ordered something from Nigeria through a friend in Abuja. Now that friend was in Europe on business. She got in touch with her source in Abuja, organized this thing for me, and in 2 days, it was in Accra. Okay, it got ready, it was put on an aircraft for me, and by Tuesday night, I had received it from Abuja. Okay, suddenly a small woman entrepreneur in Abuja had produced 3 items for me, and it had reached me in 2 days in Accra. And so you've seen this from all the trading going on Instagram and etc., where young women are now open to trading with the world. And thanks to payment solutions that are enabled by mobile money, or cards, that they're able to sell to the world, right? And so there is hope. And given now that we have the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, if we could address the access to finance problem, if we could address the constraints that women have in being able to get their goods and services across the borders, you can see how much Africa stands to gain from this. I always say that when we create more access to finance for women, and when we do whatever it is that we need to do to get women getting on with their businesses, and I agree that women don't need to be empowered, they're already empowered, but we need to remove the obstacles in their way as much as possible. It is not doing a favor to women, it is doing a favor to all of us. Our nations need this. Our GDPs need this, right? The national revenues will go up if women are able to do more. And so it is something that concerns everyone. It's not a women's conversation, it's an everybody conversation, because the benefits are felt by everyone. Now, despite the potential of utilization, I fear that more women are being left behind. More women are being left behind because whereas they could have walked over to a bank now, and maybe they didn't go because they traded in the markets, or they're taking care of the younger kids while selling somewhere, and now they can do it on a mobile phone. Many of these women do not have a chance to do it, so they're being left behind. They do not have a phone that can connect to the internet. They do not have the skills to navigate a phone beyond making a phone call, or they're even getting sort of disillusioned in the process because somebody in their household is trying to make a transaction on their behalf on their phones, and that person is defrauding them, right? That person is stealing their money on their phones, and therefore some of these women don't even want to have anything to do with mobile money, even though they don't want to.
Didi, can you please wrap up for us, please? Her Excellency is ready to come on now, so kindly wrap up for us. Your time is up, please.
I think I can just go up now.
Okay.
That's fine.
No, wrap up. Just 2 minutes to wrap up, please.
I can't wrap up, right? There's a lot I was going to say, but
She should continue. All right. Okay.
I've talked about the 3. Now my train of thought is, but let me just wrap up then by just saying that there is potential. There's a lot that we need to do. I heard Shipra when she talked about access is no longer a problem.
Sorry.
Yes, more women have.
Sorry, Digi, to disturb you. You know that Mom will not allow us to make you wrap up like that. So please continue and finish, and she would like to listen to you.
Sorry, I have to go back now.
Please continue. Sorry about that.
Thank you, and I'm glad to hear Mama Graça is online. Mama, greetings from Accra. And so I was saying that we need to be intentional about what we do with digitalization, because it's available, the tools are available, but we need to recognize that those same tools will drive many out of the market, okay? Because the structure of our economies are changing as a result of digitization. There's now more online trading, more online business than physical. And if we're not careful about empowering those who need to use these tools, then we're driving them out of the market. So then we're going to see negative outcomes, right? And so we need to be more intentional about what do we do, how do we enable the use of these tools by women. Education, financial literacy, digital literacy, and there are groups in Ghana, for example, that are training young girls in coding, in the use of online tools, and I applaud them, and I believe we can do a whole lot more of them. My house help, I have a young lady who lives with me. I took her to a Coding for Girls program 2 years ago. That young girl learned how to build a website. That young girl was able to set up her own email account. That young girl went home to her mother at Christmas to visit for a week and taught her older sister, who's a seamstress, how to set up an Instagram account and how to sell on Instagram. So that one girl I took for training now is able, though she still works for me in my house, she's more online sort of capable and has taught other people in her circle. So that's what a little could do, right, if we're intentional about it. And I believe that all of us here are able to do it, starting from our homes, starting from our communities, our schools, and then that's how it snowballs into the national and regional efforts that we want to see. It is also important that while the numbers are showing that access to finance for women is improving, as Shilpa said, the costs are inhibiting. And so we need to look at, and as regulated, for example, at the back of Ghana, we're very sort of careful about the pricing regime around the mobile money services and all of the lending tools that are out there, products that are out there. And we need to be more intentional about that, because otherwise we price people out of the market. But another issue that has to do with access is the fact that people also are getting excluded because there's too much fraud that is occurring in the mobile money space. And people just don't want to have anything to do with it anymore. So that's also something that is counterproductive. But I agree that by and large, we need now women to rise up to the occasion to say, yes, we haven't addressed all of our challenges, but there are opportunities out there, and we need to seize those opportunities. And you would find that now in Ghana, for example, mainly by the intervention of the Bank of Ghana, many women, many banks and other financial institutions are providing women-only solutions. And so even the big banks that traditionally wouldn't care for SMEs or women about the women market. Now they're coming up with loans that are targeted at women, and not just loans that come with support, all sorts of support to help the women do their businesses better. And thanks to the likes of the Mastercard Foundation, some of these banks are able to provide loans at interest rates that are like 1/3 of what the market would suggest, right? And therefore, the opportunities are there, and women need to embrace these. When we talk about access to finance, we're often thinking about bank accounts, but I like to think of access to loans as a big, still lagging behind. So more women are opening bank accounts, but we're finding that very few women are getting loans. And so access to credit is a big constraint, because if women are going to be able to start or scale their businesses, credit is important, good credit, and hopefully at good prices too. And so we continue to advocate for banks and other financial institutions to look at the credit market and how they can support women. The collateral requirements for women loans also sometimes inhibits access to these loans, because most women don't have access to real estate to use as collateral, which the banks like a lot. And so we in Ghana started a collateral registry that accepts movable collateral, so that a woman can bring any movable assets, whether it's a car, whether it is, whatever it is. I was being told by the collateral registry, which we house at back of Ghana, that even fish is used as collateral these days, because the woman might say, I have a stock of fish, I can use it as collateral. but we register that to promote transparency around the collateral arrangements and to encourage banks to accept that. So that's also working very well. But I'd like to talk about other financial services that we often don't hear about. Insurance, for example. You hear in Ghana every few months that markets have burned down. There's a fire in a market where hard-working women just wake up and have lost all of their shops or their works, their inventory in these shops. And I just wonder what it would take for insurance companies to develop micro-insurance products so that a woman who has found the capital to start a small business doesn't have to lose that as a result of a drought or flood, as a result of, from climate action, or as a result of fire. So we're talking about building resilience in women businesses, right? And then also health insurance related products, pension products. You can imagine my joy when a few weeks ago I heard our MC for today, Ohnidure Gifty Auntie, promotes a private retirement plan for entrepreneurs, for women entrepreneurs, and she used herself as an example to tell women to acquire such a product, which she, being an entrepreneur that she is, she has found this product that she can contribute to every month and knows that this will pay her a pension at some point. I was just so impressed that she would do that. She would be the ambassador for that product. Because a lot of our women are in the informal sector. A lot of our women entrepreneurs do not think about the resilience they need to be able to overcome a shock. If anything happened and they lost their business or something happened, is there something that will pay them? Is there something that will take care of them? And I think we need to be able to talk about how women can build resilience. Okay, so access, meaningful access, in particular to credit, but also to all other financial products and services that allow women to be resilient and manage their own risks. Because often these are the risks that affect the households, the communities, and our national economies. And so I do hope that all of us here today have the solutions as to how we can move forward. And just in winding up, respecting the fact that our mother, Graça, is online and waiting for us, just to say that a lot remains to be done. While we should recognize the efforts that have been made and the progress that has been chalked. But together, we can all begin to work together, knowing that our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunties, ourselves, are all key economic agents of the continent, and opportunities abound. But we need to make sure that we're taking advantage of those opportunities while expanding those opportunities for those that may not be readily equipped to take advantage of those. So on that note, may I say thank you, and I wish us all fruitful discussions, and may we find solutions that will make Africa the place that we all want it to be. Thank you.
DG, thank you very much, and thank you. When the policymaker is speaking, we know as women that there is hope, and for you to touch on those digital payment solutions and advise that we need to address the access to finance. And I always add DG and say it must be patient and, as you have mentioned, affordable capital that is given to the women. And also you mentioned that we need to remove these obstacles and make sure that women have access as well as inclusivity. And some options that we're looking at the region on making sure that the collateral issue is dealt with, which is the registry and immovable asset registry that you've mentioned. The Graça Machel Trust is looking also through AfriShella, which is the Gender Lens Investment Fund, at the credit assessment tool to make sure that we deal with these issues. And recently, listening to the DG again from Rwanda, who was talking about a platform called the Trusted Credentials, which looks at your behavior and is able to waiver the collateral so that women can be able to get. They're piloting this with 5,000 women to make sure that women can access finance up to $10,000. And I think one last thing you mentioned, DG, was really to look at these terms of agreement, because women sometimes lose their assets because they did not know what the terms of agreement initially was. So it is important for us to look at these. And thank you very much for gracing us, DG, with your presence. We know how busy you are. And just speaking on the note that our mothers have walked this path and have set the way for us to be able to look at economic emancipation. One of those mothers is the one that we are going to be welcoming right now, Her Excellency, Mrs. Graça Machel, who is an African stateswoman whose decade-long professional in public life is rooted in Mozambique's struggle for self-rule. She would have loved to be here today. She is dealing with Mozambique, and hence she is not here. And international advocacy for women and children's rights. She's a former freedom fighter in Mozambique, Frelimo movement, and that country's first Minister of Education. She founded the Graça Machel Trust based in South Africa, where she focused on advocating for women's economic and social advancement and capacity building for adolescent girls. She also founded and served as a president of the Foundation for Community Development in Mozambique and the Zizile Institution of Child Development. She works through several regional and international development bodies to accelerate social transformation. Mama Machel is the founding member and the deputy chairperson of the Elders and a member of the UN Secretary General High-Level Sustainable Development Goals Advocacy Group. She lends her expertise to several organizations in a governance role. Mama Graça Machel has dedicated her life to improving the woman and to improving the lives of women and children, inspiring hope and also building more just and equitable world for us all. She usually say that for her, exclusion of women is injustice, and she's fighting for justice. Mama Graça, over to you.
Thank you, Shilpa. Let me start by saying how proud I am to be sitting here listening to you, Elsie, and knowing that you have also your sister, Dr. Tukia from Zambia. I take pride of who you are at the helm of such prestigious institution as central banks. We are here, we are talking about financial inclusion. But the first indication of progress which our countries are making is precisely that we have, at that level, young women, brilliant as you are, leading and having as part of your responsibility to establish the regulations which bound the whole nation, government, private sector, everyone to follow what the central bank says. So let us applaud, let's take pride on that, because this is a very, very strong indication of progress which our countries and our continent are making. I know that we have amongst us distinguished government representatives, and my brilliant girls expert lead this group. We have leaders of private sector, civil society, and development organizations, and you, women entrepreneurs, who are the reason why we are here, and you are advocates for change, ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege to address this distinguished gathering of leaders, innovators, and advocates committed to driving inclusive growth in West Africa. I know you have been informed that this is the third convening of its kind. We have had already a convening of Southern Africa, East Africa, and now we are in this very vibrant and dynamic region of our continent, which is West Africa. And we are here with our ears and eyes open to listen, to see, lessons which we have to take to invigorate our work on this very broad and challenging issue of financial inclusion, particularly for women. Today we confront one of the region's most significant opportunities, which is empowering women entrepreneurs in the digital economy to unlock unparalleled prosperity across borders. I want to extend my congratulations to the Ghana Civil Society Organization community and the leadership of the Office of Deputy Governor Ellis Awasdi on the successful passing of the Gender Equity Bill in Ghana. This milestone underscores the potential for every African country to enact, implement, and monitor transformative legislation, especially those advancing women's economic and human rights. I'm delighted that Ghana now has a legislative framework designed to address gender disparities and promote equal opportunities for all, particularly for women. The bill reflects Ghana's commitment to international conventions, including the UN Development Goals and the African Union Agenda 2063. This is a truly remarkable achievement. To NetRight Ghana, congratulations on your exceptional accomplishment under the Women's Leadership for Financial Inclusion program. From developing two impactful policy briefs, one on the effects of pandemic stimulus packages on women-led micro, small, and medium enterprises in Ghana, and the other on gender equity and social inclusion in the financial sector. To developing the gender mainstreaming standards as an advocacy tool, your work has been pivotal to the overall success of the Women's Leadership for Financial Inclusion program. These key documents are essential in promoting the adoption of gender-responsive approaches by financial institutions and other stakeholders, ensuring their integration into policies, programs, and practices. Your formidable partnership with the Bank of Ghana, Ghana Microfinance Institutions Network, ECOWAS, and ABSA are further testament to your dedication and influence in advancing gender equity within Ghana's financial ecosystem. Across sub-Saharan Africa, the financial inclusion gender gap stands at an average of 12%, with variations as high as 20 in Nigeria. Despite progress, only 51% of women in the region have access to formal financial services, compared to 59% of men. Encouragingly, mobile money has narrowed this gap, with Ghana leading in growth. Women's account ownership surged from 54% in 2017 to over 63% in 21, largely driven by mobile money platforms. Senegal, too, has seen similar gains, though challenges in rural outreach persist. These figures merely hint at the immense untapped opportunities waiting to be harnessed. Women in West Africa, particularly in Ghana, Nigeria, and Senegal, are pivotal to the region's economies. They are trailblazers in agriculture, trade, and innovation. However, social-cultural barriers, limited financial literacy, and inadequate access to credit and technology impede their full participation. The digital economy offers a transformative solution. Platforms like mobile money services, digital trade hubs, and e-commerce marketplaces enable women to access regional and international markets without the traditional barriers of physical infrastructure. These tools provide secure payment systems, efficient logistics, and access to networks that amplify women's economic power. In 2024, digital payments in Nigeria alone are projected to exceed $15 billion, with women entrepreneurs contributing a growing share. Meanwhile, cross-border digital trade between Ghana and Senegal has opened avenues for women-led businesses, from sheer barter exports to tech startups. Ladies and gentlemen, the path forward requires bold, deliberate action. We must expand access to affordable and reliable digital tools, particularly in rural areas, to bridge the connectivity gap. And we know that there is still a lot of investment to be made to cover. It's not only in rural areas, even in our cities around, not everyone has assets. We say assets really to digital tools. One thing is to have a phone, another one is to have internet, and to have the money to pay internet for you to do business. So we should be celebrating that, yes, there is availability, but assets requires affordability. And I think we should put this in our plans very clearly to know how many women have real assets and how many women have real affordable means to use digital tools without neglecting that we have a very, very long way to go. We need also to tailor programs, training programs, which are essential to empower women with the skills to navigate digital platforms effectively. Governments must ensure gender-sensitive regulations that foster equitable access to credit and cross-border trade opportunities. Private sector actors, civil society, and international organizations must collaborate to scale up solutions that work. To every leader, policymaker, and influential change agent here today, I urge you, let us this convening mark a turning point. Commit resources, forge partnerships, and drive innovation to ensure that every woman in West Africa has the tools to thrive in the digital economy. When we empower women, we empower families, communities, and nations. Together, we can create a future where women entrepreneurs lead the charge in transforming our economies and ensuring shared prosperity for all. Let us seize this moment to act decisively. Let us unlock the potential of women entrepreneurs and make the promise of digital transformation a reality. I thank you and I wish you a very, very successful convening.
Thank you very much. And I think, as the DG said, Mom is one of those that have set the path for us, for generations, for us to be able to be where we are today. And I always say that we need to document, and she was saying that we need to document what have been done in the past and what is it that is our responsibility that we need to do now. But for us to be able to do what we are doing and talking about financial inclusion is because of what has been done prior to our time. And as it was mentioned by Her Excellency, that we need to make sure that these are affordable, and assets need investments. And therefore, we need to make sure that we get these investments, and these investments are accessible and affordable for everyone. We thank you very much, Your Excellency, and thank you for your time. And I would like to just acknowledge that amongst us, we have the former Minister of Commerce and SME from Senegal, Ms. Assome Aminata Diatta. I'd like to welcome her formally as well. She will be speaking to us today. As we move on to our program, and our program director had been gracious enough to give us a bit of time. Thank you, program director, for that. We will now call one of our partners, the Graça Machel Trust partners, Ms. Tariro Nyimo. And Ms. Tariro Nyimo is a passionate advocate for women's financial empowerment, with a focus on leveraging digital tools to expand economic opportunities across Africa. As a regional facilitator for FinEquity Africa, she leads efforts to improve access to digital financial services, particularly for marginalized women entrepreneurs, which is what we're talking about today, to make sure that we talk to all women at all levels, and we make sure that it's a language that can be understood by everyone. When I always talk about language, I come from a rural area, and the only thing I had was a radio when I was growing up. No TV, nothing. So I always say that where I come from, a radio is the only means of communication and nothing else. So it's important for us to acknowledge that her work involves collaborating with financial institutions, development agencies, and local partners to create inclusive financial ecosystem. Ms. Nyimo's dedication to innovative financial solutions has made her a key contributor to the dialogue on financial inclusion, helping bridge economic disparities and enhance women's participation in the formal economy. And I know that with FinEquity and what they are doing, they work very extensively with communities of practice, which is an element that is very important for our discussion today for dissemination of information. Over to you, Tariro.
Thank you, Chef. Such an honor to be here. Good day to everyone, Her Excellency, Mrs. Graça Machel, esteemed guests and partners. I've been given a very hard job to follow such women who've said a lot of things and given all the data. So I think my role here is just to nod and say, oh, I've learned. Thank you so much. But such an honor. I think I can start by introducing FinEquity Africa. So I am the FinEquity Africa Regional Facilitator. FinEquity is a global community of practice that is convened by CCAP, and its role is to accelerate women's economic power. I heard Mama Graça say power, so I'll say power. Women's economic power through women's financial inclusion. And we do that by catalyzing knowledge curation, fostering best practice, and encouraging sector collaboration. Now, the Africa chapter was formed, it's a new chapter formed recently in 2022, and it's reaching over 2,500 women. We have knowledge partners including the Graça Machel Trust, FSD Network, and Digital Frontiers Institute. Now, my second head, or my other heads that are aware, I'm the head of stakeholder engagement and fundraising at Digital Frontiers. And we're part of, in Ghana, we're part of the First+2 project, which is building capacity within young women who have a STEM background and are curious for a career in fintech. So we're adding the numbers. You know, there's a lot of data that has been shared here. We're adding the numbers for women's leadership in this sector, in digital financial services. And I know mobile money has been indicated here as an anchor to growth of that inclusion. So we're hoping that these young women with a STEM background can look at more innovative solutions for mobile money. But going back to FinEquity, the Critical Advisory Group, and the community itself identified 3 priority areas that they feel are important to advance women's financial inclusion. That includes gender intentional product design, gender disaggregated data, and women's leadership. Now, aligning to our theme here, which is women's financial inclusion in the digital economy, and all the other things that DG has said, that Mama has said, and Patricia as well. If we look at gender intentional product design, this is now us looking at how we can make our financial services, our digital financial services, relevant to our market. Now, I heard a theme about patient capital. How do we innovate our financial services? How do we innovate that access to credit so that it becomes patient capital to our MSMEs? These are some of the themes, right? These are some of the knowledge creation that we share, all opportunities to have dialogue, opportunities for advocacy, such as the convening that we have today, to discuss some of the issues. And I know that these are some of the topics that will be discussed later on. Second priority, gender disaggregated data. And I think I heard Schiffer talking about alternative data, collateral issues. All of that innovation centers around data and its disaggregation. That's how we know how women are participating, or the indicators that are relevant to women. And when we say women as customers, women are segmented. You know, it's not just any kind of women. I'm sure the women that are here are a different kind of group. And then the women that we have in rural areas are a different kind of group. That's why we need that data, so that we can segment it and so that we can provide the alternative scoring so that they can be access to capital, access to finance, access to loans, microcredit, you know, all of those other innovations. But I heard as well my predecessors talking about pairing these solutions with training. And since we're talking about the digital economy, it is very important for us to have that digital skills, that literacy, financial literacy as well. You can't run away from that, because if I don't know the products that I'm accessing, if my financial service provider doesn't share that information with me, that critical information around my interest rate, how much am I paying for this loan, the cost issue, you know, and I saw that the DG talked about the reduction of those through funders and the innovation that's happening in Ghana. That is so exciting. I really want to learn more about that, because cost is always an issue for women customers, especially low-income women. We're price sensitive, we need to understand, and that comes with consumer protection, which definitely falls within the policymakers' mandate. So issues like that are always important. And our third priority is Equity Africa is women's leadership, and I know that Graça Machel Trust leads this theme within the Equity Africa chapter. And when we're talking about women-led and women-owned business, their leadership within this sector is important. You know, training them to scale up, you know, so that they can empower more people, so that they can give power to more people, so that we can create those job opportunities in this digitized economy. It's so important. So those are some of the things. But coming back to, I just wanted to also comment on the digital economy. And back in 1990, the digital divide was coined as a term, and it really measured the access to internet across countries, within and across countries. And back then, Africa had a 2% connectivity, or only 2% of Africa's population was connected. Now, when we look at the GSMA data, we know that 40%, or around 40% of sub-Saharan African adults, that's over 18, are connected. So there has been movement. So there has been that inclusion. But when we talk about inclusive internet index, we have to look at several factors, right? And let's just go back to sub-Saharan Africa, and even though we have this 40% of connectivity, the data also says that we have the widest gaps in terms of usage and coverage. I think usage is 56% and coverage is 15%. So we still have these issues. And we know that the group of women that we really look at, or the hardest to reach, right, when we're talking about women in remote areas, are women in rural areas who are also very entrepreneurial, are women in the agricultural sector. We know that from research, it said that agricultural sector, especially in Ghana, I think the Master Foundation Ghana identified agriculture as the sector with the most potential to bring in new jobs. So, when we're looking at women in those remote areas, there are issues that, barriers that prevent them from benefiting. If we're looking at who's included, now the definition needs to meet to involve who is actually benefiting from this connectivity. Is your connection giving you economic benefits? Now, then we talk about things like relevant. Is there relevant content that you can consume that will empower you to improve your livelihood by being connected, by having that device? You need to participate to that extent. And is there relevance? Oh, and readiness. As we talked about digital literacy, consumer protection, and policy. Is policy enabling you to participate and benefit from the internet, or the highly digitized society that we have? And of course, the infrastructure issues. And again, coming to affordability, is the data affordable? I think there is a lot that we're going to learn here, and I'm very excited to be part of the conversation, to hear like-minded women talk about their experiences in this region. So I'll stop there and say thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right, thank you very much. We are far behind time, so I'll go straight to introduce the panel and invite the moderator for the first panel discussion. That's Ms. Ndeye Kumba Diop from Senegal. She's the country representative, Graça Machel Trust. The French, I can't read it, so forgive me. One of the program, when she comes, she'll mention it herself, in Senegal. Ndeye Kumba Diop is a country representative for the Graça Machel Trust program in Senegal, a sustained program working to strengthen the skills and economic advancement of women entrepreneurs in Africa. She is a strategic leader interested in enhancing women's leadership and cross-disciplinary experience in social, private, public, and entrepreneurial environments. She has proven expertise in running high-impact programs and improving the operational efficiency of businesses in various sectors in Africa. She is currently the country manager for the GMT Women Creating Wealth program in Senegal. Please, let's put our hands together for her, even as she comes. Oh, she is online. Oh, she's outside. Is she online? Oh, great. Okay. Awesome.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. Good morning. A pleasure to be here online and being part of this high-level convening. So my name is Kumba Diop. I'm the country manager for the Women Creating Wealth in Senegal, as shared, and it is a pleasure to listen to all these excellent sharing from Her Excellency Mama Machel. Thank you, a pleasure to listen to you and all these experts and contributors that we listen to. recently. So today I'll be sharing and actually welcoming Dr. Loretta. So regarding the topic on digital transformation, basically, it will not be a panel, but maybe a presentation from Dr. Loretta to share all this experience on digital transformation and actually the status and potential. So just to introduce Dr. Loretta Abanasapong, Dr. Loretta is an ardent and committed advocate of women's development. Dr. Loretta is also a chartered economist, administrator, and a management consultant. She has been with the financial industry for 2 decades now in branch business leadership positions. She has in-depth experience in sales, marketing, and client portfolio management, as well as in developing young talents. So a pleasure to welcome Dr. Loretta. She will be having a presentation on digital transformation. Thank you, and yeah, over to you, Ghana team.
Good morning, everyone. I stand on existing protocol. Her Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, both in the room and online. It is both an honor and a pleasure to have you all here and to be here. It's indeed a distinguished gathering of professionals, innovators, and visionaries in the digital financial space. We are living in an age of unprecedented change and opportunity. Digital financial services have revolutionized the way we conduct businesses, manage monies, and even engage with the global economy. Today, we are not just witnessing the transformation, we are actively shaping it. We are not here trying to reinvent the wheel, but we are trying to perfect it. Each one of us here play a crucial role in driving forward this digital revolution, making financial services more accessible, inclusive, and efficient for millions of people around the world. It is said that when money flows into the hands of women who have the authority to use it, everything changes. For the woman, for families, and their communities, and even the world at large. And that is how powerful women are. Maybe let's clap for ourselves. However, globally, men are 21% more likely to be online than women. And this figure rises to 52% in low-income countries. Despite significant efforts to advance economic opportunity and equality, gender differences in financial inclusion persist. Men are more likely to use digital financial services than women. But women use digital financial services more for receiving money and storing value. So women and girls remain underrepresented across the creation, use, and regulation of technology. They are less likely to use digital financial services or even tech-related careers, and significantly more likely to face online harassment and violence than their male counterparts. So this mobile money fraud, women are more victims than men. What then is digital financial services? It's been a buzzword this morning, but what then is it? What do we mean when we say digital financial services? It is not just a silver bullet for financial inclusion, but they are the direction in which the industry is going. Digital financial services, or DFS for short, is simply the financial services that rely on digital technologies for their delivery and utilization by consumers. These services leverage digital platforms such as mobile devices and the internet to provide convenient, accessible, and secure financial solutions. So what can we benefit? What can women entrepreneurs in West Africa and in the ECOWAS region, what can we do when we leverage these digital financial services to boost businesses. The first I want to talk about, and we've talked about it this morning, is access to financial products. In most of the banks now, we know that having collateral is an issue for women entrepreneurs to use as security for loans to grow their businesses. But the use of these digital financial services enables most banks to assess the turnovers and cash flows of women entrepreneurs. So in various banks, even with your mobile money statement, with your POS statement, we will be able to use it to generate the turnover that you have from the business that you are doing, and by that we are comfortable to give you collateral-free, interest-free loans against this use of digital financial services. So then it is imperative for us to use these services, these mobile money devices, these POSs, and even now we have scan and pay, QR codes, that you can use for your customers to scan and pay you. And because the monies come directly into your account, the banks are comfortable to say, I see your turnovers and I'm comfortable to give you loan or facilities against it to boost your businesses. So this is number one advantage of the use of digital financial services. It gives us access to financial products. The second point is it gives us improved financial management. So digital tools can help us with budgeting, record keeping. You know, most women will come to the bank and say, I'm doing a lot. Christmas is coming, I need money. The first question a banker will ask you is, where is the evidence? Can I see what you did last year so that based on that track record, I am comfortable to give you the facility? The use of digital financial services, the use of you banking your monies is evident for any financial institution to use that to give you the support that you need. So the use of DFS gives us improved financial management. We can do basic record keeping, we can do basic budgeting on our phones, on our tablets, to really show that, okay, I went for this number of goods or X amount of goods, I'm selling, I'm adding this X amount of profit. It's easy for you to show these figures so as to get support to boost your businesses. Furthermore, digital financial services can create market expansion. Utilizing e-commerce and social media platforms can help women entrepreneurs reach a wider customer base. We heard from Elsie, our DG, to say that he sits here in Ghana and in 2 days he's received goods from Nigeria. This is the use and benefit of digital financial services. It gives us access to markets. So in most banks, again, there are trade hubs where we onboard our customers onto our digital platforms, where we connect suppliers to buyers. So if you want to source goods from here to Kenya, we'll connect you to the right people. And this, you will sit in Ghana and you'll be selling all across Africa. This is what digital financial services does. It gives us access to markets. And I will encourage all women entrepreneurs gathered here today and online to take advantage of. Digital financial services also helps us build capacity. And with most of these women desk, gender desks that we are creating in various banks and in financial institutions, we add the non-financial bit. We train and we build capacity of our women entrepreneurs, because we've realized that it's not only money that we need to grow our businesses. Sometimes just the idea of you knowing how to separate working capital from operating expenses, that's it. It is enough for us to move our businesses from one level to another. And this is what digital financial services does. We're able to train. Graça Machel, we have partnered with them, and they have trained women leaders to build emotional intelligence, to really take possession of the businesses that they are managing. And it is key that we take advantage of what these DFS also brings to us. Today we are all gathered here, and so we cannot belabor the point that DFS also creates networking opportunities. We have heard speakers from Senegal and across Africa speaking to us, interacting with us. And it is an opportunity that we can tap into digital platforms. It facilitates networking with other entrepreneurs, investors, and mentors. This can lead to partnerships, mentorship, and new business opportunities. So by leveraging these digital financial services, women entrepreneurs in West Africa can overcome barriers. We can expand our businesses and contribute to economic growth and social progress. How then can these digital platforms and fintech solutions reduce transaction costs and increase market access for most of us women traders? The first point I want to talk about again is digital financial services gives us lower transaction costs. Traditional banking system often come with high fees for transactions, especially cross-border payments. But with fintech solutions like mobile money and digital wallets, now there are PAPS payments, now we have other platforms that enables payments across Africa and even the entire world. And these fees are way cheaper than the formal traditional fees that banks used to charge. So we have lower transactional fees when we use the digital financial services. Again, there is ease of access to DFX. Digital platforms provide easy access to financial services without the need for physical bank branches. Today, you can sit at the comfort of your room and initiate transfers across Africa and even across the world. Ease of access. You don't need to walk through the bank, join queues in banking halls. Those are a thing of the past. So it gives us ease of access to digital financial services. There is efficient payment systems. Now, with the invoice that you generate, you can even have your barcodes on for your customers to just scan you. It debits the customer, it credits you instantly. And you have alerts on your phones, on your mobile devices, which gives you the notification that Loretta has paid you 100 cedis for, say, the jacket that he's purchased. It is easy, it's convenient, and it is safe. And this is what digital financial services gives us: efficient payment systems. We have rapid transfer platforms where you don't even necessarily even have to have a bank in Kenya, for example. But you can just walk into any EcoBank branch, for example, and say, I'm transferring money to someone in Kenya, to someone in Nigeria, through the rapid transfer platform. So it gives us this ease and efficient payment systems. I've talked about expanded market reach, where you can just advertise your goods online through the digital hubs that we create for you, women entrepreneurs. And it's a way of free adverts. And the good news is that all these trade hubs, most of these, the digital financial solutions, QR codes, are free. And it's available for our use. Let us not hide behind the times where we will just say, oh, this is not for me. Oh, let them have it. It's available. It is there. And it is free. It is affordable. Let's tap into it and expand and grow our businesses. I've also talked about improved record keeping, where now we can have access to everything that you do on your phone. You can really track your stocks. And the beauty of it is that we can even use the stocks that you have to give you access to finance. We call it inventory financing. So Christmas is coming. You want to buy more stocks. We can assess the level of goods that you have and give you up to 70% of your stock as a financing amount to grow your businesses. By leveraging these digital platforms and fintech solutions, women traders can overcome traditional barriers. We can reduce costs. We can expand our market reach. ultimately leading to business growth and economic empowerment. In conclusion, fintech provides what the African economy has wanted all along. By harnessing digital financial tools, we unlock the potential of millions of women entrepreneurs, enabling them to transform their lives, their communities, and the entire economy. The world is changing very fast. Big will not beat small anymore. It will be the fast beating the slow. The future belongs to those who can rise above technology and master it. The future is indeed digital. Thank you very much. I will pause for questions, clarifications, and probably you've been wondering all morning, how can you even start to take advantage and opportunities of these digital financial solutions? So this is the time. Ask your questions, any mind-boggling questions, so that we can together resolve them. I don't know whether the moderator will come in. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Loretta, for this brilliant expose. So at this point, there is no question online, maybe in the audience and convening. Over to you.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Dr. Loretta. This is very interesting, because what this now is doing is that bank is looking at also the non-core to make sure that you have access. But I was interested to know the impact. There's a number of things you've mentioned. You said you're now looking at skills, which is building capacity, which is the non-financial bit. And you also mentioned the inventory financing that you give to women, that up to 70%. And I think looking at also creating those network opportunities where you put women into the platform so that they can be able to trade with other countries. What has been the success?
Can we take a few questions? Take few questions.
Hi, Patricia. Hi, Loretta. Sorry, I was thinking of Patricia over there. A couple of things. I mean, it sounds very easy and is the way to go, but we still are leaving behind women in the rural and hard to reach areas. Not only with infrastructure and capital, but as much as basic as the tools. I trade with women in the rural area, and we have, I think it's about, the agri sector has about 60% women. How many of them, and I think Elsie must have mentioned it, how many of them actually have access to the most basic smartphone? And I say this because I trade with women who produce palm oil. And the leader of this cooperative only recently got a smartphone. So she still had to do work through her husband, her accounts. When I send mobile money, it's her husband who goes to take it. It's her husband who goes to withdraw it. And recently, she got a smartphone. But she doesn't even have basic knowledge in accounting, finance, in Excel. You know, if I sent her an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of our business, and I'll just payment, supply and payment, her husband has to explain to her. How are we empowering them? Or how can we empower them? Is there a way of getting them access to these tools, you know, the cheapest, smartphone? And also, because they are in cooperatives, for example, how can we maybe use the CSOs to train them in financial, basic financial knowledge, accounting?
I'm Princess Mensah, a representative from the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations. I would like to add my voice as a representative of all women with disability around the continent. I've been wondering what measures have been put in place to ensure the inclusive participation of women with disability in financial inclusion. Thank you.
So maybe I will start with Bridget's question. I always say on various platforms that we all need to be intentional, and we all have a role to play when it comes to education. So today we are here. Probably what we've heard should not end in this room. We should go out there and be preachers of the gospel. With those out there, the women in the lower communities, what we are doing is, we know, for example, EcoBank, we cannot be in every community. What we are currently doing is working through agents. So wherever you see express points, EcoBank express point, and again, it's an opportunity for us gathered here and online to say that I want to even become an agent of EcoBank, so that Bridget, at your community, you can be an agent. You have a small space, a structure, but not a container that can be easily removed. If you have a concrete property, small space, we can train you. All you need is a phone. We can train someone to be the agent in that community, where these women or entrepreneurs can go, deposit their monies, and make withdrawals. Even now, agents have been empowered to open accounts, express accounts on phones. And the beauty is that you don't need a smartphone, an iPhone, or probably a Samsung S3. You need a phone. And we have USSD codes that enables you to access it on non-smartphones. So it is available. We all need to join in the education to say that, have that account, open that account for yourself on your phone. And you don't need to be an Excel expert. It will amaze you to note that you will stand by the watch seller and say, I'm buying watch, I want this, that. And before you end, she knows how much it will cost. That is how smart their minds have been programmed to be. And they have done this over the years. And so with their experience, they can tell you how much they have put in their businesses, how much goods they have bought, and how much profit they will make on the goods. So we should not underestimate ourselves. They do it anyway. We just need to be intentional to let them know that it is just the way you do it. But we just want you to do it probably a bit more by recording it, by adding dates and tenor, so that we can see that, okay, indeed, for the past 6 months, this is what you have been doing. This is what you've been selling. So they have been doing it. And that's what I said in my speech, that we are not trying to reinvent any new wheels. We are just trying to shape in it. We are trying to bring order to the things that we are already doing. So let's take opportunity, become agents, and you even be paid commissions. Let us be out there and tell that sister that, yes, you are into, say, palm fruits, but I can pay you not cash, but on your phone. And you don't need an iPhone 16 or 17 that is yet to come. All you need is to have that phone and dial *770#. And that is enough for you to do your banking solutions. So it is available. And the impact has been phenomenal. It will, and it's the little things. With this education, we are able to let you know that it's even important as women entrepreneurs to pay yourself. So that at the end of the day, it is not you dumping your money, your hands into the working capital that you are trading with. Pay yourself. So if it's 1,000 Ghana cedis that you are paying yourself as a woman entrepreneur for a month, do that. Let's even open a savings account for you. And again, it can be on your phone, it can be a regular current account or savings account, so that from your business account, you are able to pay yourself into that savings account, and then you spend from there. We have been able to train women in basic needs to say that by doing that, by paying yourself and separating operating expenses from working capital, you are indeed able to know that these monies are the business money. So it is important, the little things. Training, creating networking opportunities, and even in this room, we can share our stories of how we started as a businesswoman and the impacts that we have done. And we've been intentional to do this over the period. And just by sharing these mentorship stories, a lot more women have been encouraged to step up and be bold to say that I can also do it from the story that I've heard. So these are the little impacts that we are creating. And it's not ending with us here gathered in the room. Like I said, a charge to keep we have. We all need to be gospel, the ambassadors of the gospel. Go out there and spread. And we are not leaving anybody behind, both physically challenged or it is, for me, it is a mindset change. And as long as we are already doing it, for 2 years now, what we even decided to do is, if you have a business, come, we will help you register it formally. Because we see that most business women are even trading in their personal names, for example. So when you say that, what business are you doing? Oh, I'm into cosmetics. Oh, so what's the business name? Oh, it's Loretta Sapon. But we need to formalize that business so that you can attract investors, so that you can get help. And this we have helped about 130 businesses for free, register them formally so that they can operate in their business names and get the needed help. It's a journey. We are not there yet, but we believe that with these little intentions, these little efforts that we are doing, we can help grow businesses from one level to another. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Loretta. So a lot has been said, and I know especially the financial sector in Ghana is doing quite a lot of things. But I think the bank still has to create some level of awareness, because hitherto the processes were very rigorous, and then it's difficult for women to access the banking sector. I know currently there has been much improvement, but still some women feel, they have that kind of perception that the bank is still very difficult terrain, or the financial sector is a difficult terrain for women to tread. So I think the education should still be improved. And then regarding interest rates, I know a lot of informal, packages or products have been developed for women to enhance their businesses. But looking at the interest sector, the interest rates in Ghana, because I've been in some of the Francophone countries, and I know it's below 10%. But looking at it in Ghana, I seriously don't know how, even with the informal packages, that is supposed to have low interest. I don't know where it will be pegged, and it's very difficult for women or even businesses to thrive with such interest. And I don't know how it can be solved, because when we look at the Francophone countries, it's a bit low. So how can it be done in Ghana to ensure that people can access, or the informal sector can access loans to also enhance their businesses? Thank you.
Okay. So I used to run a tech company which computerized the microfinance industry in Ghana. Before the banking sector cleanup, we had over 400 microfinance companies using our platform. And one thing that we realized was that we introduced things like mobile banking and all those things to those in the informal sector because the clients of our clients were the informal sector. They were not people in this room. So one thing that we realized was that if it is a need for access to finance, regardless of your level of education, you find a way to surmount whatever barriers you have to get access to that finance. Because we thought that introducing things like USSD banking and all those things, they would not be able to access it. But because that was the only medium which they could access a request for a loan or something, they somehow managed to do it. Although for those of them who were not educated, they usually give it to their children to do those transactions for them. And another thing that we realized was that you cannot do this, we cannot properly implement women empowerment in financial inclusion without including the men. Because the husbands play a huge role in whatever it is they are doing. Because there were even instances where we had to stop sending them messages of their bank balances because the husbands would see their phones and see how much money they have. So it goes beyond just access to finance. It's a societal problem that we have to include the men in. Because like it or not, we are still in a male-dominated society, and there are lots of women who still defer to their husband for almost everything. So in short, that is my contribution. Sure, technology is great. I am an advocate for technology, but we need to look at the social construct for it to be truly successful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me go online to find out from Ms. Kumba if there are any questions online, so Dr. Loretta can. She has 5 minutes to wrap up this because we have another panel coming up. So, Ms. Kumba. Is she online? Hello? Okay, Doc, you can go ahead whilst we wait.
So I would just say that it's a journey. It's a journey. We are not there yet. But if we are all intentional, and if we all really have the mindset that change has come, and now the way to go is digital. If we are to embrace this change and say we can do it, and I like it when you say we should involve our male colleagues. Yes, we are not in competition with them. There are some things that are for men only. We still need them to change our car tires for us and all that. We want equality. We want the opportunity to be seen and heard. And that is all that we are preaching about. And so to all my women entrepreneurs here and online, I will say that let's embrace the change that has come. Let us adapt to say that this is the new normal. And if we want to grow, and COVID taught us better, it's either we embrace the change or we die. So let's embrace technology. Let's change our mindset to say we can do it. Yes, our male counterparts are doing it. We will go to them to ask for the help that we need. And most importantly, let's all be ambassadors of the gospel. Tell that sister to say that there is help available. If you need money, it is there and it's available. Yes, we are trying to make loans affordable. We are not there yet, but with partnerships. DJ talked about MasterCard Foundation being available to assist most financial institutions, and now we can give affordable loans because of these partnerships. So don't just sit there and suffer in your corner. Help is available. Seek the right help and grow that business that you have nurtured, because we are building businesses not only for this generation, but the next one to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Loretta Abna-Sapo, the woman who just demystifies the taboos and everything around financing. And but Doc, I'm not opening another account. It's okay. She actually got me to open one when I was not ready, but I'm benefiting from it. Thank you. We have another panel discussion coming up, and this time we have about 2 of the panelists online. Or is Ms. Kumba back online to wrap up before I introduce our next? Oh, right, okay. We have Ms. Chidima Elueze, who is the moderator. Chidima is a program manager and MERL specialist with over a decade of experience in academia and international development. She began her career as a lecturer in Nigeria, teaching international relations, political economy, and human rights. She serves as the Assistant National Secretary for New Faces, New Voices Nigeria, and is a member of the West Africa Women Traders Association. Chidima is dedicated to advancing financial inclusion and supporting women-led MSMEs by collating or collaborating with government, private sector entities, and community organizations. She has led impactful research projects for the Graça Machel Trust and the UPS Foundation, focusing on topics such as digital financial inclusion, cross-border trade, and the impact of COVID-19 on women entrepreneurs in Nigeria. Let's put our hands together as we welcome her online, Ms. Chidima Elueze.
Thank you very much. Well, once again, welcome, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to this August event. All protocols duly observed. I would like to start with a remark shared by our speaker, Deputy Governor of Ghana, who says that a little of what we do, when we intentionally do it, can go a long way. And I will add, it will have a positive ripple effect. Thanks for the introduction. My name again is Chidima Elueze, member of New Faces, New Voices Nigeria. New Faces, New Voices Nigeria is engaged in capacity building, policy advocacy, and stakeholder engagement that helps to advance women entrepreneurs in business and export trade. It will be interesting to know that NFMV Nigeria has been at the forefront of women cross-border trade discourse through specific tailor-made programs in Nigeria and Senegal, which has led to the creation of West African Women Traders Association in West Africa, ECOWAS. We have been, there have been 2 germane research programs that we have done that helped in policy advocacy and referral partnership for women in cross-border trade to scale up their business, which is raising voices. And the current one we did this year is digital financial inclusion and women entrepreneurs in cross-border trade. However, today we have a very exciting topic to discuss, and this is going to be focusing on cross-border trade, exploring women entrepreneurs in cross-border trade within the context of AFTA, that's African Continental Free Trade Area. And before we go on, we have to put it in context. It's observed that AFTA has the potential of raising about 30 million Africans out of poverty. It has the potential to expand businesses, raise people out of poverty, and break the trade barrier that has affected Africa. However, in the context of cross-border trade, women will say, where do we fit in? To be able to answer these questions with our interesting and impactful panel lined up for us. So please do join me and welcome our panelists. Mrs. Deborah Freeman, she's the Executive Secretary of Informal Workers Forum of Ghana. Ms. Deborah is the pioneering advocate for informal workers' rights in Ghana and the founding General Secretary of the Union of Informal Workers Association. So please do welcome her. She's there in person. Thank you. I'm also delighted to invite Mrs. Kumbaba. She's the founder and the chief executive officer. Kumbaba is a Malian leader in gender advocacy, entrepreneurship, and communication. She founded Mufasa, the communication and audiovisual production firm focusing on gender issues. Please do give her a virtual welcome. She's online with us. Thank you. I'm also delighted to invite to the virtual stage Ms. Nde Awa Tete, the Chief Executive Officer of Nature's Gate Gambia. Nde Awa Tete is a Gambian entrepreneur and women's empowerment advocate. She founded the Nature's Gate Care, which focuses on sustainable moringa processing and regular rising Gambia. She's also commonly referred to as the Moringa. Please welcome her. It's my pleasure to my honor to invite the last but definitely not the least to join this conversation, Ms. Asome Aminata Diatta. She's a former Minister of Commerce and Small Medium Enterprise in Senegal. She's a distinguished public servant and advocate for economic development and women's empowerment in Senegal. As a former Minister of Trade and Small and Medium Enterprise, she has led initiatives to promote inclusive economic growth. Please do welcome our dear panelists, which I refer to them as experts in their field and cheerleaders for women project, Women Entrepreneurs Project. Now, to our first question, I want to state something. The first question is, what are the key challenges that women entrepreneurs experience in engaging border trade in Africa? In contextualizing this question, we know that there's the issue of policy harmonization and the digital divide. So what are the challenges that we have experienced? So I'll first of all start with Mrs. Deborah Freeman in answering this question. Madam Deborah, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Chidimma. Thank you. Good morning to you all powerful women. And a big thank you to the Graça Machel Trust and NetRight for this opportunity to share some experiences that we have had over the last few years in dealing with women as far as digital, tools are concerned, and also with respect to cross-border trade. So to answer the question, women have numerous challenges from day one that we are born. It is by the grace of God that women exist. So in terms of cross-border trade, I'll first of all share what we have done in the last 4 years or so. We realized that our women who travel to buy goods, in terms of import and exports, they had challenges. Some of the challenges were overtaxation, sexual harassment. They say we shouldn't say it, but we will say it. Violence at the borders, delays, and so many other challenges. So we teamed up with Togo, one of the women's organizations in Togo, and my organization is the WizardNet Africa Women Entrepreneurs Network, which is under the Informal Economy Workers Forum. So we held a stakeholders forum with the authorities at the Togo and Ghana border. And so we discussed a lot of issues. Our problem was the challenges that our women faced. And we realized that it was good that we engaged with these authorities. Now, there's a solution, which I will get there. But then these challenges that I aforementioned, those are the challenges that women face. There are others, I'm sure my colleagues will add. So what really, for us, is the biggest issue is the overtaxation, sexual harassment, and then loss of goods. Because you see, you go to the borders, and we are informal cross-border traders. And all these, you know, bureaucracy, there are things that it's a challenge. We want the very simplest way of crossing the border with our goods without having to go and write this, see this person and that, pay this and that, and then you have to beat someone, you go there and the person says, oh, I like your smile, and all those things. These are challenges that women have faced over the years. And thank goodness that in many forums, including this one, we are still looking for solutions. Some we already have, because we are building our capacities to be able to surmount these challenges. And we know that the sky is our limit, and there's light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so we'll go to Ndewe, our safety. What's been your experience? Can you just make it brief and short? The challenges that women entrepreneurs have experienced engaging in cross-border. Thank you, briefly, thank you.
Good afternoon or good morning, everyone, both the online and in-person participants. I will stand on existing protocols for the sake of time. Like you mentioned, my name is Nero Sise, and I am from the Republic of the Gambia. And just to add on to the challenges that women cross-border traders face in my country, some of them have been mentioned, but just to add on what the previous speaker has mentioned, is unlawful payments is a very big issue in my country here. Sexual harassment as well. It's also another challenge that women face. And due to differences in culture, language barriers, sometimes communication is also a big challenge between these traders and also the officials, especially those at the cross-border trade sectors. So, and also, I would just want to add on to the issue of gender, because a lot of time board officials will see the women folk as the weaker gender. So sometimes they will, or most times, they will want to use that as a way of making them feel weak or being abused, both psychologically and verbally, and sometimes even mentally. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Madam Kumba, please can you chip in briefly the challenges? Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone, and I will also stand by the existing protocol and send especially kudos to our beloved mother, Mama Machel. And what I will add, and I really thank our predecessors that have been speaking before us, but our sister who underlined the necessity to understand social norms, I think we really need to take that into consideration, especially as we commemorate the 16 days of activism. Because it's one thing to say women are being discriminated against, women are being subjected to different harassment of all sorts. But I think it's very important to understand the root causes. Because once we know the root causes, we may have some pieces to address and get into solutions. To the challenges that have already been mentioned, I will add the political instabilities. as a Malian, because I'm from Mali, even though I'm joining right now from California. So it's 3 a.m. here, but I really wanted to be in this very important discussion because we say that l'argent est le nerf de la guerre. Like money is the nerve of war. And I think it has been very much underlined today. So I didn't want to miss this. Even though I'm not a cross-border myself, trader, but I am an activist, and as an African woman, a West African woman, we all know very much and have benefited from the economy gain of a cross-border woman trader. So the political instabilities, as a Malian woman, we know that when we had the changes of the regimes, our borders were closed, and we had embargo from ECOWAS. So when a situation like that happens, that means the goods of a woman don't go anywhere. For the past 10 years, most of our countries from the Sahel region have been confronted to terrorism. And we know that as Nigerian, we know that as Ghanaian, we know that as Malian or from Niger. So these are also some realities that prevent us from doing our activities. I think the limited access to financial resources due to numerous things. It can be non-literacy of finance. It can be social norms that can be added to explain why women don't have financial literacy. We can also talk about the complexity of our rules. You know, if you look at some eastern countries of Africa, some southern countries of Africa, or even Ghana, people who have colonial history from English speaking, and people who have colonial history from French speaking, the heaviness of the administrative systems are not the same. So we also really need to be pragmatic to go beyond war zone difficulties, because it's not like it has been said by Dr. Loretta, if we do not succeed, this free trade area, we are bound to die. And I don't think anybody wants to die, so I guess we are going to reinvent ourselves. And after the free trade zone is going to be a unborn child, because before even it's even born, it's going to die. And that's unfortunate. I think the weak infrastructure, if, you know, my Madam Minister is from with us today, we congratulate her for joining us. We have a border with Senegal, we have a border with Guinea. But now, if we want to travel from Mali to Dakar, it's unbelievable. We spend, because the roads, there are no roads. And if there are no roads, it's very difficult for cross-border, even though we can then take good advantage of the digital means. Because digital means don't know borders. We can be anywhere in the world, and I think we can have so many different examples, good examples of that. I will maybe stop here. I will stop here, so Madam the Minister can add, but I think there's much more challenges that I wanted also to discuss. There are so many.
Thank you so much, very insightful, thank you. Your Excellency, ma'am, can you just briefly tell us some of the challenges that you have experienced while you were in minister in addressing the challenges women confront with cross-border trade? Your Excellency, ma'am.
Bonjour, je suis désolée, je vais parler en français. I haven't prepared my intervention in English, so I speak in French. I think that there is a translation. Is it the case? Allô, bonjour.
Hello, ma.
Oui, bonjour.
Yeah, bonjour, ma. Can you briefly just chip in your own comment on this general question?
Yes, I can. I want to say that women are facing big difficulties for doing commerce. The question in our panel is how to help women to gain, to take advantage from TFTA and digital. I I was saying that I would prefer to speak in French since I have not prepared my intervention in English. But if there is no translation,
I don't think there's. What we'll do is that we'll keep and we'll come back to you if you don't mind, so that others can just answer their own questions and we'll come back to you. I hope you don't mind that.
Okay, no. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so the next question is to Madam Deborah Freeman. And this question is particularly, what have been the initiatives and strategies that your country, Ghana, has implemented to facilitate cross-border trade and inter-country trade within ECOWAS, particularly specific strategies for women-owned businesses? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Chidima. I can talk about the ETLS. The ETLS, which is the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme. And if you ask me, the rationale behind it was good, but I think it's being defeated. That purpose is being defeated. Because you see, the ETLS was established to liberalize trade by eliminating tariff and non-tariff barriers among member states. And this was established in 2023, last year. But you see, one of the major constraints of the ETLS has been the presence of many trade, regulatory agencies at the ECOWAS borders. And this caused, delays, at the borders, and it limits the realization of the objective of this very scheme. So instead of, say, making it very accessible or easy or easier, if you like, for women, informal cross-border traders or women entrepreneurs to, transport their goods in and out of their country and other countries, what is happening is that it is rather becoming cumbersome for them, because then this is a very formal arrangement. So the ordinary informal economy woman who is going through this needs assistance from somebody to help her to write down the documentations and all that. So I can say that, yes, that system is there, but it is not very convenient for women to use. And that is why, for us as an organization, to help women, we have our own arrangement, which I will call a scheme, and I can add it to the strategy which you have asked me to elaborate on. We have this arrangement with the authorities at the Togo border. That is the Aflao, Ghana-Togo border at Aflao. So we have the immigration service, the customs, the police, even freight forwarders, all the authorities that exist at the border. So in every 3 months, every quarter, we hold a meeting and we discuss the challenges that women are facing. And if you compare now to the time prior to this arrangement, women were suffering more. But now, because we have been engaging with them, and every now and then we are able to sit at the table and discuss the issues, I think it's improving our work. So what happens is that one of our members is traveling to, say, Nigeria from Ghana to go and buy her goods, and she calls us that we are going. Okay, then I put a call through to some of the officers at the border that, oh, our member is coming, so please treat her good. And they do so. So you see, I think that we women, in our own small way, we can help ourselves. And that's exactly what some of us are doing. Because if we want to rely on these big things and all that, those are very formal or formalized arrangements, and they are not very convenient for women. But of course, as I said, the sky is our limit, and there's light at the end of the tunnel, because as we continue to build our capacities as women, then we'll be able to access these formal, schemes. But as we go along, we should find our own small ways of helping ourselves. this is a model that we are willing to replicate in other countries or with other organizations. If they consult with us, we'll put them, we'll connect them with the authorities so they can help. But this only has to do with the Ghana-Togo border. There are other borders that we want to extend this scheme to, which I know will be helpful to women. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll go back to Her Excellency. Ma, there's a provision for a translator, so you can go ahead and the previous question. Should we interpret questions? That is, what are the challenges that women entrepreneurs experience? Echoing. Hello? So there's an interpreter, Ma. So you can go ahead and she'll interpret. So, Ma, you can go ahead with answering the question. And I'll add on the other question is how can policies be harmonized and
going through as cross-border traders. Now the question lies with us. Madam Kumba said most of these protocols are just there, up there. They have not been filtered down to the people that really need them. Madam, and another speaker, I guess is Grace, she said like they have this one-on-one meeting with these border officials. And I think this is a strategy that all of us have to adapt. Look at the borders that these women are mostly vulnerable at, and then we go and meet them. Because when we talk about trade, it involves goods and people. So you cannot do trade without these two aspects. So even if the people go and the goods does not come, trade is not in place. And even if the goods come and the people are not there to receive them, it also defies the rule of trade. So now, I know there have been opportunities where some of the products that we trade in have been liberated by this AFCFTA, but do they know, do these women know these products? And do they know the level of percentage that have been liberated? These are questions we need to ask ourselves moving forward and use them as a stepping stone to empower these women. Because when I met them, I told them knowledge is power. What we have given you during these 6 weeks is power. Use it to empower yourself and most especially empower your communities, empower your children, educate anybody whom you feel needs to hear. And it was a life-changing moment because previously I was trained as an export coach, but the cross-border trade aspect was a life-changing opportunity. So in the Gambia,
thank you so much. Madam, can you round off, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry for interjecting. Thank you.
One of the things that I would want to add is we need to expose our women to technology, how they can leverage these opportunities to use technology, especially payment systems, and also certifications. When we talk about trade, especially cross-border trade, our products really need to meet the right certification. Without these, we will not be able to have swift, free cross-border trade. And us as ambassadors here, what are we going to pledge before the end of this session as a call to action? As when next we come here, we will not be talking about this same topic, but it will be something different. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Lady Moringa. Thank you so much. We're going to round off this session very soon. We'll take our last question. So please, if you have questions online, you can drop your questions. And thank you, because we made a good thing, a good statement that says that these opportunities are there, but how do women know, and how can they know if we that know do not tell them? So we need to really go and channel this in empowering the women with the right knowledge so that they can see the opportunity. So the last question is for this panel session is to our dear Excellency, Aminata Diatta, and the question is, as you have interacted with government over the years as a public servant and as a minister, how have you been able to engage policymakers and stakeholders to ensure women entrepreneurs are fully aware and are able to leverage the provisions and the benefits of ACTA in terms of tariff reduction? So over to you, Madma.
Merci beaucoup. Oui, comme je disais tout à l'heure.
Thank you very much. It was more on training we focused on. When I was a minister, I was fortunate to be the lead negotiator for Senegal on AFCTA right from the beginning. So I was at the head of the Senegalese delegation in the AFCTA negotiation. But when I left to become a minister, that's when I was no longer at the head of delegation. But even then, I was still interested in what is happening. And I've always insisted in information sharing. Nothing can be done if we don't have knowledge. We cannot tap into opportunities if we don't have the knowledge. So in Senegal, we organized several meetings with the civil society, with CEOs, business owners. We met them. We organized a lot of capacity building workshops for entrepreneurs, and there was no distinction between men and women. We met SMEs, we met business owners, company owners, and also I initiated a project which is SMEs Action. So every 2 months, SMEs of Senegal come and meet together, and there was an opportunity for these SMEs to share the challenges they meet and they face in their various sectors. And as a Minister of Commerce, I tried to address some of those challenges within my remit. The solutions, depending on other ministries, we tend to go to them or go to those agencies and say, okay, how those solutions could be leveraged for SMEs. For companies to move forward, be they women or men-led, there should be, we have to lubricate the relationship between the public and the private sectors. I'm also insisting on the role of a women association. Their role will be critical. If there is a protocol on EFTA on trade for women and youth on trade, is because women advocated for it at the highest level. But if women, business women, are not associated in negotiations, some concerns of women will not be addressed. So it's important that women, both in country and the region, try to meet the negotiation committee. In Senegal, we have the committee that consolidates negotiation positions and take them to the negotiation table at the continental level. Officials quite often don't have the same competencies as entrepreneurs. You know, entrepreneurs have practical competencies, whereas authorities, officials have the theory. So that's why both have to come together and brainstorm so that we take full advantage of EFCA and the digital economy. And even after leaving the ministry, I've been much more interested in digital economy, in digital entrepreneurship, because digital can be leveraged. It could be an enabler. We know that training, as we hold it today, in person, everybody cannot be reached. Whereas when we go digital, we go on digital platforms, as many people as possible could be reached. So in conclusion, the private and public sectors will have to work together, and then women associations also should come on board. Recently, I conducted a study for women entrepreneurs in West Africa, and we identified challenges. Some of the challenges have been highlighted, and also preferred some solutions. So it would be interesting that we build the capacity of entrepreneurs, because without capabilities, we can forge ahead. So we are insisting on that. And the access to finance is important. So it's important we leverage on these solutions so as to make things move forward, especially for women. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so very much for your insightful contribution from the government side of it. So this discussion is very rich, because we're not just only hearing from practitioners or women entrepreneurs, but also from government. Thank you so very much. We are not ending this conversation. We'll continue going on with this conversation as we leave. But one thing I want us to go on thinking about after this panel session is that we need to go out and inform the women. We need to educate them. We need to give them awareness. These opportunities are there, but we have to be strategic in bringing this awareness to the women. A lot has been discussed, and I know that everybody has a role to play in ensuring that the women in cross-border trade, their needs are being met, and we can advocate and advance their needs as well. So thank you so very much. I'll hand over to the MC in Ghana to ask the questions, or do you want me to go ahead and ask?
Thank you very much, but unfortunately we don't have time for questions for this session. We'll have to go on, as you rightly said, we'll continue the conversations on other platforms because as you know, time is money. As entrepreneurs, we know what it means, and on digital platforms as well, the more you stay, the more you pay, and we need the money. So thank you very much. Well done, Chidima. That was very, very insightful, and I'm sure we've all picked something from it. For me, TikTok is not just about going on there and seeing or consuming anything you see, but you can actually search and go to specific area. When you're looking for entrepreneurs in Africa, you can go there and search, and you will find them and then interact with them. Unfortunately, Dr. Tukia Kankasa Mabula, interim chairperson, expert leaders group Zambia, has to leave, but her able assistant, represented by Aishatu Debola Aminu, Country Director, New Faces, New Voices, Nigeria, is on standby to take us through the takeaways and also help us in the call to action. Aishatu, is she online? It's okay. Then, okay. All right. So, the venerable lady will be here. Oh, okay. Yes, we can hear you now. I said we can hear you. Hello? Kindly go ahead. Aishatu, can you unmute yourself? Yes.
I'll unmute myself.
All right, good. Great, we can hear you.
Yeah, I want to say that I'm privileged and honored to represent my big sister, Dr. Tukia. But there's one existing protocol that I cannot stand on, and that is Mama Graça. I want to use the opportunity to say, my warm regards to her, and then to go straight to what I'm representing Dr. Tukia, which is the call to action on this very informative and transformative event. Ladies and gentlemen, I will exactly as she has said it. Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this impactful gathering, it is time to move beyond dialogue with tangible action and transformative challenge across the region. The insights and strategies shared today demand our commitment to foster an enabling environment where women entrepreneurs can thrive in the digital economy and cross-border trade. On the enhancing of policy and regulatory frameworks, develop and advocate for policies that promote women's financial inclusion and adaptability in the digital age, tailored to specific needs of each member state. These policies must be inclusive, forward-thinking,
and rooted in the unique social economic context of our countries. Prioritize systematic collection and analysis to disaggregate data on gender and digital financial assets to inform evidence-based policies while tracking progress at all digital points. Advocate for inclusive digital infrastructure and enhance digital assets to close the gender gap in financial inclusion and unlock potential across the ECOWAS region. It is vital to ensure women's access to affordable and accessible digital tools. This includes providing affordable mobile phones, reliable internet connectivity, and user-friendly digital financial services tailored to their needs. These efforts will bridge the digital divide and ensure that women, especially those in underserved areas, can freely participate and thrive in digital economy. To promote financial literacy and capacity building for men entrepreneurs, to empower women in the ECOWAS region, programs must focus on tailored financial literacy and digital skills training. This initiative should equip women with practical knowledge to effectively use digital platforms for trade and enterprise growth. By addressing their specific needs and everyday challenges, such programs can enable women to make informed financial decisions and enhance their participation in the digital economy. On leveraging the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFTA, and strengthening cross-border trade, harness the AFTA to simplify and streamline cross-border trade with ECOWAS and ensure women entrepreneurs can access its benefits. Regional collaboration is critical to reduce bureaucratic barriers and increase market access for men entrepreneurs and increase the overall growth of the region. Here, I want to just chip in something which has to be noted by the Graça Machel Trust on the issue of policy integration, policy reforms, and how, within the region, these policies can be unified. To her other paragraph, she said, creating gender-responsive financial products and policies. Policymakers must embed gender inclusivity in financial and trade regulations. From providing women with access to credit to integrating gender perspectives in trade agreements, these steps are pivotal. Financial institutions should develop innovative products that cater specifically to women, considering their unique needs and circumstances. These products should be designed with input from women to ensure they are practical and effective. On mitigating technology risks, we must develop and implement concrete strategies to mitigate the risks associated with digital financial services. Policymakers, financial institutions, and stakeholders must work together to ensure that women have safe and equitable access to these services. We call on all stakeholders to commit to specific actions that accelerate progress towards our women's financial inclusion goals. Also, systems must be put in place to safeguard against fraud, enhance cybersecurity measures, and ensure data privacy to stop identity theft and impersonation. I would like to take this opportunity to invite more female deputy governors and women in strategic positions within the financial and regulatory sectors to join the expert leaders group. Your participation and involvement is crucial as we work towards women's economic advancement and financial inclusion across our regions. Together, through joint advocacy, we can amplify our voices, drive transformative policies, and create lasting impact in the pursuit of women's financial inclusion, gender equality, and inclusive economic growth. Your leadership and expertise will enrich our collective efforts to build a more equitable and prosperous future for women. Each one of us has a role to play, whether by championing inclusive policies, supporting women-led enterprises, or fostering innovation in the digital space. Our collective action can rewrite the narrative of women's financial inclusion. Let us not live here just as participants, but as agents of transformation for the women of West Africa and beyond. Together, we can build a digital economy that uplifts, empowers, and includes women. Thank you. This is Dr. Mabula Tukia's call to action.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure you did it just as she would have. Thank you so much. What a day it has been. Very fulfilling, and it's happening at the right time, during the right period. I'm going to call on Madam Patricia to give us the closing remarks, but before she comes, I've been listening to everything that's been going on, all the discussions, all the questions, and, you know, forgive me, well, no apologies, but I'm a woman of faith, but just yesterday, I posted my statement on the 16 days of activism, and this is what I wrote. In the virtual world, digital violence takes on many different wicked forms and sometimes moves offline. We must protect and empower communities and speak up against cyberbullying and attacks. As much as we embrace the digital platforms and trades and what have you, we must also be very much aware of the bullying, of the dangers that lurk in places that we least expect. The fraud, the scams, the abuse, and the violence that, yes, sometimes even follows us offline. On that note, I'll call on Madam Patricia Akapo to give us the closing remarks.
Thank you, Onhiniyere. Mama, Her Excellency Mama Graça Machel, I heard that you are calling her Mama, so we have to call her Mama. She's our Mama. Distinguished guests, in person, online, co-conveners. I think though we are pressed with time, you agree with me that we've done justice to the team. Digital transformation and cross-border trade. Yeah, we need a clap. Unlocking the potential for women entrepreneurs in West Africa. One of the things that has stood out for me, and for NetRight, we are honored to have hosted this convening, is that in promoting women's financial and digital inclusion, it's important that we also celebrate our own. And our own are the hardworking and vibrant women across Africa that are at the helm of affairs of central banks, the DGLCs and her colleagues. There is also the need for us to recognize the fact that financial inclusion is a societal problem that needs to be addressed. I think this is critical in the conversations that we had this morning. It's also important that there is intentionality in advancing. And Chief, I've changed the empowering to advancing because you said we should use advancing. Intentionality in advancing women's capacities to use digital platforms. There is a need for intentionality in removing obstacles for credit. Yes, macrocredit is good, but that shouldn't be the solution. That is an ad hoc solution. We need to look at the systemic barriers that disallow women to be able to provide collaterals so that we can address issues of access to credit. This morning we've had the discussions have also focused on cross-border traders and the challenges that they face, uncountable challenges that need urgent attention by the West Africa sub-region. We've spent more than, we were supposed to leave here at 11:30 and it's past 12, so I wouldn't bore you. On behalf of colleague co-conveners, that's NetRight, NFNV Nigeria, and ComDev Africa based in Senegal, we are grateful to our distinguished guests in person and online, panelists and speakers for your time and contribution. The outcomes of this convening will inform our advocacy to push for policy reforms to advance women's financial and digital inclusion. And I believe you heard our call to action. We also give special thanks to GMT for making this convening possible in the West Africa sub-region. To the GMT team led by Temi, you and your team in Ghana, we say Aiko. To the Netri team here, Cynthia and your team, we say Aiko. And to all our invited guests, thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And on behalf of Netrite and the co-partners, we say thank you so much to Her Excellency Mama Mrs. Graça Machel, to DGLC Ado Awaji, who is an expert leader group who made a statement earlier on, who's the second deputy governor, Bank of Ghana, Ms. Tariro Nimo, GMT partner, and my own sister and mentor here, who I didn't acknowledge earlier on. She is Ms. Bridget, who is a former presidential candidate for the PNC. Thank you so much. DPP, forgive me. Dr. Parkway Sindu's party, sorry. Of the PPP, forgive me. I'm sure I'll be disowned after this, but she will forgive me. You know, and of course, Madam Comfort, who is the chair of the rural banks in Ghana. We also have Shefa here. Thank you so much. Patricia will thank you later. Thank you to Ms. Indeye Kumba Diop, Dr. Loretta Abna Sapon, Ms. Chidima, Ms. Deborah Freeman, Ms. Kumbaba, Ms. Inde Awakas Sise, Ms. Asume Aminata Diata, Dr. Tukia Kankasa Mabula. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for educating us and empowering us. And we promise, who was the one who said we should be ambassadors and spread the gospel? We are going to do that, and I'm sure we are all going to help advance, because we've been empowering. It's time for us to advance. Thank you very much. It's time for taking of photographs. And I'm told that there's going to be digital. I don't know how we are going to incorporate those online into the photograph, but it's time for us to take some pictures, and then we'll have some refreshment, and then we can, those joining us online, please get your own refreshment and join us, okay? Otherwise, we'll be mentioning your names as we take our refreshment. Thank you all so much. The photographers, are you ready? Okay. I'm told all those online, please can you come online and then put your lights on? Everybody, including the former presidential candidate of PPP. Madam Bridget Jogbonuku, thank you. I've been forgiven. I believe so. But currently she prides herself in producing or selling the best palm oil.
yourself. Look at yourself.